Alright, that'll be it for now. As spotting in the bottom right-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the French Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is ShaDoWn. And spawning in the top left, we have his opponent. We have the blue Polish Protoss player representing StarCraft Esports. It is PAPI. We bring him up all the time. And here we go as we get into this PvP, and so far no one is taking the bait. Everyone is going for double gate openers here in the main. No one is taking the chance here to go for a gate expand. No one is quite like Max Packs. Firefly did do his best yesterday. He did flaunt his skill, and yeah, he's been looking to Max Packs for guidance, but here both of these players are very reasonable in their approach, and they're not taking any chances. If you're wondering what I'm referring about, typically it is considered to be unsafe to go for gate expands unless there is a ramp coming into the natural. Site Delta comes to mind as a map where we do see that a little bit more frequently on the maps like this, where it is a little bit unsafe, where there is no high ground advantage at your natural base. 2 gate openers are a lot more commonplace instead. And that is what we're seeing here between our two lovely Protoss players. 2 gate openers, gases are being taken, and probes are being sent out to scout and to confirm whether or not a pylon is going to be missing. Speaking of, there's a second pylon from PAPI thrown down in the main. Likewise, we should be seeing a second pylon thrown down here as well for ShaDoWn. So no proxies, nothing to really spice up the early game yet in this series. Everything is looking quite normal, quite standard. As we have our first starting units coming out as well, we have ShaDoWn going to be going for 2 Adepts. Likewise, PAPI going to be going for a Stalker and a Sentry instead. So very interesting dynamic that we're going to be seeing. ShaDoWn is going to be the aggressor. 2 Adepts, of course, they can one-shot workers. They're going to be zooming across the map, looking to get some economic damage, or even just apply pressure and get some scouting information as well. Meanwhile, PAPI going for a more secure, safe, defensive setup here. This Sentry will allow for hallucination, and the hallucination will see everything in the main that ShaDoWn has to offer. There is a chance, of course, where you can deny the hallucination, of course, with enough Stalkers and with good positioning, but we're actually doubling down. We have 2 Adepts into 2 more, and we could even get into 2 more after that. We can go up to a 6 Adept opener from ShaDoWn. My brain went 6 Gate-Glaive Adepts, because that did occur earlier. I have to calm down, PAPI, calm down. Adepts, a shade towards the natural. We have a full wall off. There goes our first hallucination, just to get a read on what exactly is going on. As PAPI is going to be expanding. ShaDoWn going for a slightly later expansion here in favor of a faster Stargate. There it is. Oracle is on the way. Phoenix, likewise, heading towards the main base, does confirm the timing of the Nexus, and does confirm the Stargate and the Oracle on the way as well. Meanwhile, the Adepts shade in. Oh my god, the Adepts managed to bust into the main base. 2 workers go down. Not just 2 workers, but ShaDoWn also gets eyes on the Twilight Council. Very nicely done. This should not have happened, by the way. I was caught off guard, just because typically at this level we would be denying any kind of shade. Likewise, the shades come in once again, slipping into the main base. We don't commit this time. PAPI is in position with his units, but again, did slip up, did miss the wall. Not the best start here from our blue Protoss, as the Oracle is coming in straight towards the main base. There's no shield battery, but plenty of Stalkers. Plenty of Stalkers are in position. PAPI does hold. Meanwhile, just the constant shades here from ShaDoWn, hoping for PAPI to slip up again for a second time. Hoping for kind of a lapse in judgment here. As the shades do continue. Good force fields, though, catching the Adepts. And one of them is going to go down. Good pickup here from ShaDoWn. Sorry, from PAPI. ShaDoWn ended up losing one of his workers. Sorry, one of his Adepts. Worker will fall. And the Oracle manages to slip in and gets even more damage on 3 probes in the main. Not too bad. Once again, PAPI cutting corners, not going for a shield battery, despite scouting the Oracle opener, by the way. PAPI just being greedy. And ShaDoWn able to take an economic lead because of it. Looking at the units lost tab here, ShaDoWn, he has killed 6 workers all in all. And he's going straight for a third base, just extending his economic lead. So far, a great start for ShaDoWn. The Oracle, of course, keeping all of this army back at home. Oh my god! As the Oracle will fall, but we still get some more worker kills. Adepts, they shaded in 3 more probes. Was that worth losing an Oracle? Probably not. But you could argue that the Oracle has already paid for itself. ShaDoWn enjoying a lead. Again, extending it. Now we're heading into the next phase here of PvP, getting into the mid-game as both players are attempting to get their third bases up and running. ShaDoWn working towards Blink Stalkers. Speaking of, he already has 6 on the field. And he does apply quite a bit of pressure here to the third base, but PAPI has more than enough to push this back. Oh. Blink just now about to finish up, and PAPI can chase this down. He gets 1. Does get 1 Stalker in the end. 1 Stalker for 1 sentry. ShaDoWn does back off. And we are kind of headed in the same direction. We have a Forge and a Robo for +1 and potentially even Robo production into Immortals. Likewise, PAPI doing the same. ShaDoWn already working towards Charge as well. Just committing to a gateway heavy composition. Oh, and even having a rough trade here as well. ShaDoWn bleeding out a lot of Stalkers. But he does pull PAPI's army out of position, and as a result, the Adepts, they do find a way into the natural. So ShaDoWn, he may have lost a couple of Stalkers, but he's dealing a lot of counter damage. 3 probes, soon to be 4 probes going down at the same time. ShaDoWn comes in from the right-hand side, trying to pull PAPI apart. Oh my god, the Adepts, they just keep on going. They bust into the main. A 5th probe falls, and we shouldn't get a 6th. But 5 workers for a handful of gateway units. Once again, ShaDoWn just so far ahead in the worker count. And he's under no real threat of a counterattack. The Stalker armies are pretty comparable with each other. +1 also ahead for ShaDoWn. Charge as well, and yeah, PAPI has no clear advantage army-wise either. Sure, he has the Robo, but he hasn't gone into like Immortal production, for example, as there we go, first Immortal is on the way. But it's just now starting. Gonna take quite some time to get into. And ShaDoWn, he is not slowing down. He's keeping the tempo up. He's got a 4th base on the way. Oh my god. Going for the 4th. A charge is done. +1 on the way. We have a War Prism, which means we can reinforce across the map. And we can just send it. We can hit a strong timing here. With charge lots. With +1. PAPI's going to try to meet this head on. But especially when we get the Warband of Charge Lots, I don't know if PAPI can really hold. Don't know if he can keep up with the momentum that ShaDoWn really has. Okay, going for Stalkers, not Zealots. Gonna be picking away at the army itself. Meanwhile, 1 lone Zealot slips into the main. The harass just doesn't stop. It's in the main base, dives on the Immortal as well. The Immortal will fall. Again, that was the one advantage that PAPI had. The Immortal as the backbone of his army, but it goes down, and now he's just being completely overwhelmed. GG gets called, and ShaDoWn will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. It hurt me a little bit to stop myself from saying PAPI a couple of times. But GG, well played. ShaDoWn will take the first game, and honestly, that was a pretty solid performance there. You know, he was able to get in with whether it was Oracles or Adepts time and time again. Even a Zealot towards the end there, just constantly getting economic damage done. PAPI was having a really hard time keeping up. As a result, he slowly fell behind in the worker count. His third base was delayed as well as a result, and in a mirror matchup, especially if you're not teching in any kind of like quirky direction, like going into DTs or going into disruptors, if you're not going for any of those, in a way, comeback mechanics, it can be hard to keep up when you have the same tools as your opponent. The way to have come back in that game as well from PAPI would have been to have also invested into some Adepts to harass across the map, whether Adepts or DTs or anything of the sort, to come back in that way, but he just didn't have any map control. He was stuck at home the entire time. ShaDoWn was essentially untouched. I don't think there was a moment when I don't think there was really a moment in that game where PAPI was able to move out more than halfway across the map with his main army. He was just stuck at home the entire game. GG, well played. A solid performance there out of ShaDoWn, but again, it's momentum that he gained early on that he kept going throughout the course of that, and we'll see if PAPI can come back in Game 2. We'll see if we can force the ace match. Again, there's a lot available here in PvP, especially when it comes to the early game. There is proxy potential. And yeah, we'll see if we go for something of the sort. Whether it's a proxy robo, proxy Stargate just for economic damage. Even a proxy gateway as well. As we're going to be loading on in. It's kind of like, it reminds me of before Oliveira's name change, when he was known as Time. Like, intentionally, I remember casting many times with I'm not even doing it now, with Yaku, where we would have to intentionally just stop ourselves from saying the word time too much because it would just lose all meaning, and it just snowball, it just become nonsense. But here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the French Protoss player leading the series 1-0, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is ShaDoWn. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the blue Protoss player representing Berserker Esports, the Polish Protoss. It is PAPI. Ah, beautiful. We're so biased here. We always talk about it. Always. As for now, we are just getting into our openers. Once again, we have the pylons on the high ground. No one is taking any kind of chances, setting up a low ground wall instead. Should be getting into our 2-gate openers. And ShaDoWn is very quick to move out, very quick to get a scout off, get a read on what is going on. As the 2 gateways are thrown down. I believe ShaDoWn, is he rallied to go towards... Yeah, he's rallied to go towards the linear base location instead. He could be looking to hide his pylon, which would be an interesting choice here. Going for a fake proxy, essentially. And there it is. The pylon is thrown down. So this is also something that happens in PvP quite commonly. Because probe scouts are very standard, you're going to be coming in and you're going to be getting eyes on your second pylon. But ShaDoWn's second pylon is not here. So this is indicative of a proxy. Whether it's proxy robo, proxy Stargate, committed all in. There's a big kind of array of possibilities here. Or it could be a fake. ShaDoWn, he throws down his pylon on his own side of the map to just fake out PAPI and try to get into his head. As PAPI's own second pylon is in the main. Oh my god! And he goes for his third pylon in the main base of ShaDoWn. Let's go. Do love to see it. ShaDoWn just going for his own eventual scout with his own worker. So now he's going to be going for an Adept Stalker opener, actually. Very interesting. Likewise, PAPI committing to his own Adepts. Going to be hunting down the probe and moving out. The pylon is unscattered, which means we can warp an Adept straight into the main base of ShaDoWn. Uh-oh. And this could be a game-winning move here for PAPI. He can wreak havoc in the mineral line. He can get a lot of damage done. He can try to pull ShaDoWn apart. As PAPI didn't fall for it, he didn't actually send out another probe to scout. He called the bluff. He does miss the wall off. Oh my god. Not again. Adept gets in and we scout the lack of tech. Looks like we get a couple more worker kills. We confirmed the second pylon placement as well as the expansion. 2 worker kills. Good trade so far here from ShaDoWn. He's getting into a Twilight Council. Still not scouting that pylon. Still does not have eyes on it. As back in the main base. Still not throwing down any tech here from PAPI either. We're just going for the warp in. 2 Adepts into the main, unscouted. There's a lot of potential with this, and there's that Twilight Council. A delayed Twilight Council, though. I did notice that PAPI, who was holding on to a lot of minerals and gas. I was curious as to the reason, and yeah, he does throw down the Robo and the Twilight Council at the same time. Depths have arrived. 2 workers go down. We deny any kind of mining in the main base as well. Looking for another wave of workers. Those 2 worker kills, they turned into 4, even 5. Very nicely done. 5 worker kills. PAPI does take a lead. The pylon has been found and will be shut down. And the worker lead is nice, but again, I'm concerned about the delayed tech here. I mean, I say that, it's only by a couple of seconds. ShaDoWn is working on Blink, and we'll get it slightly faster than his opponent. Working on his own Robo as well. And here, at the beginning of Game 2, after the early game is settled, PAPI has a worker lead. Now from here, he can extend it and go for a faster third base, which is what ShaDoWn did in Game 1. Or we can just double down instead. PAPI throwing down the shield battery, making sure he's set up here defensively back at home. Likewise, ShaDoWn going for his own third, a faster third than his opponent. This is something that you can do in mirror matchups. If you know that you are a little bit behind in workers, whether it's PvP or even TvT, you can take a faster third base here to make up for it. Which is why I'm a little bit shocked that PAPI didn't throw down his own third. It should now be on the way, but it's slightly later than his opponent. Ooh, as PAPI does actually go straight into Immortal production. Okay. Very early Immortals that will delay the third. As it is now thrown down. ShaDoWn moving out, we'll get eyes on it. Won't be able to deny it, but is aware of the third base timing nonetheless. Oh my god. Bearing in mind that PAPI does not have Blink, it was slightly delayed. And ShaDoWn, he will get a couple of pickoffs and back off, getting a Sentry and a Stalker. Very nice pickoffs. As he does retreat. And this PAPI going to be just building up his Immortal counts. And with them, he should be able to hold on to his third base. A big should, though. As for a moment there, I thought ShaDoWn may just dive on the Immortal itself. But does respect the defensive position here, for now. Got ShaDoWn playing with fire. Gets punished, loses a Stalker, and does recall back home. Behind this, ShaDoWn has been able to catch up in worker count. He's at 52. Now, the downside, of course, being that PAPI technically has a stronger army here with these Immortals that can make up for a Stalker deficit, especially defensively. Depths do make it into the main base, but they get shut down. Getting a full scout, confirming the Forge. We are now up to 2 Immortals. Oh my god, PAPI doubling down, going for a Dark Shrine as well. Okay. Dark Shrine thrown down here for PAPI. DTs on the horizon. Back at home, ShaDoWn is focusing on a gateway heavy composition instead. Gonna be Stalkers into charge lots. And again, charge lots, they are just a great buffer unit here for the army. They take a lot of Stalker hits, they take a lot of Immortal hits as well. Well, that Immortal count's getting quite high, actually. We're up to 3 at this point here for PAPI. 4th base on the way. Do we have any detection? We do. We have 1 observer out here for ShaDoWn. Hopefully he can hold on to it. It is in a little bit of danger. Against the army of PAPI. Dark Shrine about to finish up, but here comes ShaDoWn. Charge is done. The War Prism has arrived. We can push in without charge lots. I don't know if we can really break this position, though. As the Observer goes down. The Observer does fall. There are those ults that we were talking about. They are on the way. And with those ults, we can push in. Yeah, we dive on top of the Immortals. The first Immortal will go down. No shield battery. No shot. No shield battery, PAPI. I didn't even notice. No overcharge. The Immortals, they fall one after the other. And it looks like ShaDoWn is snowballing out of control. It's just too much. We have DTs to defend. There is no detection. But 22 probes have fallen. Across the map, ShaDoWn also losing workers to the DTs as well. We have the Observer. We have detection. We can see. And we will shut them down. Meanwhile, ShaDoWn's main army has to retreat. Did take too many losses to the DTs, but he did enough damage. He reset the Immortals, he killed 24 probes, and he can settle back at home. Oh, as ShaDoWn is losing a lot more of these Stalkers here, as he does run back, does pull back. He takes down the War Prism, and yeah, now PAPI's on the back foot. He's essentially all in. He's still making 4 probes at a time. He's trying to macro out of this, but PAPI does overextend. There was potential with the DTs, but he just wasn't ready here for an assault. He wasn't expecting it. The Immortals were exposed. No shield battery, no overcharge. And ShaDoWn snowballed out of control. The DTs, though, they're still wreaking havoc. They're getting a lot done. The cannon, up! The cannon is going to fall. Probes are falling left and right in the main in the third base. ShaDoWn is now hurting. Suddenly, PAPI takes a worker lead. Oh my god, we're still going. Yeah, ShaDoWn has to race back home. Observer still... There's only one observer having a hard time maneuvering between the bases. The Dark Templar cleaned up, but they did more than enough damage. PAPI's back in this. We're even on bases. We're slightly ahead in workers. We have defensive Immortals, defensive Archons. But PAPI is not quite in position to protect this fourth base. ShaDoWn could go for it. He dives on the Nexus. And he will not get a kill. PAPI able to react in time. At the same time, we have... Okay. I was like, do we have another DT? Not quite. We do have a Zealot drop, though. 2 Zealots towards the natural. 2 Zealots into the main. ShaDoWn, he is fighting back. Good target firing from those Zealots. 6 probes. Oh, but this is getting very close. This is getting very scrappy. Yeah. Again, I do like the tech here. Like the army, the quality of army here from PAPI is greater. It's the quantity where he's really lacking. You know, he's got Immortals, he's got Archons, but he's lacking in Stalkers to really support this. He is reinforcing. This army does have a lot of potential. PAPI about to be ahead in upgrades. +2 is about to kick in. ShaDoWn only just now starting his own +2. So a really strong moment here for PAPI, where he can snowball out of control. We do have a shield battery back at the third base. We have an overcharge. But facing this army head on, it's not going to work out. We have to kite. And we don't have a lot of room. We don't have a lot of room to kite. As the charges, they do crash in. Stalkers are exposed. The overcharges pop, but we're going to be focusing down the shield battery. Shield battery goes down. And PAPI, he's breaking his way through. The boys, they have to be pulled. Or they're being pulled to safety. Being pulled to safety. At the same time, we have Zealots wreaking havoc here in the main at the fourth. But this main army is not being stopped. PAPI, he's not slowing down. Pushing in towards the natural. Cannons are falling. And it looks like PAPI just has too much. He has the Concave, the Immortals, the Archons, as well as +2. GG gets called, and we are going to the ace match. PAPI takes game number 2. GG. Oh my god. A very back and forth game. Initially, ShaDoWn was in control. Initially, if you remember, he had killed the third base. He had sniped all the Immortals. He had killed 20+ workers. Things were looking good. Things were looking up for ShaDoWn. Weren't down, they were up. But then in came the Dark Templar, and they did far more than was expected. Again, there were no cannons. There was one observer having a hard time bouncing between the bases, and PAPI was able to do more than enough counter damage to pull himself back into it, able to rebuild his army. And again, the quality of the army was just superior. He just needed time for his economy to really kick in. And he was able to pull it off, and we get an ace match. We get a game number 3. Let's go. We do find ourselves in a game number 3, and it's going to be on Hecate. going to be on Hecate as the players are just preparing themselves, and I don't blame them if they need a moment after that game. That was intense. A very intense game. And it's coming down to the wire. It's coming down to the ace match between these two. Between ShaDoWn and PAPI. Meanwhile, I think we're getting some other updates as well when it comes to some of the mainstream matches that are wrapping up. We're getting some updates. It looks like it's like DNS for Zagfire is with us. It's with us. But yeah, they're getting into their own mirror matchups. They're getting into their own TVT. The diversity, the variety. I'm celoso. But here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hecate, we have the blue Pro Tour player from the land of Poland representing StarCraft Esports, tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. It is PAPI. And spawning in the bottom left, we have his opponent. We have the French Pro Tour player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is ShaDoWn. Here we go. We're getting into our third game. Getting into our ace match. And once again, standard openers from our players. The DTs were, of course, the MVPs for PAPI in game number 2. See if he can bring it back. Or we'll see if he can pull it off again. We'll see if ShaDoWn is going to be a little bit more wary of that in our third game. This can still take a very different turn, as PvPs can be. But now, everything is as it should. PAPI is moving out with a probe. He's going to be moving on out. So far, 2 gate openers. Should be going into our first 2 units. PAPI has potential to proxy that second pylon. In this location, he could even try to commit to a proxy as well. But it looks like it's just going to be a hidden pylon. Okay. Just a fake proxy pylon, essentially, from PAPI. We spoke about this in game 2, about how you can kind of fake your opponent out by pretending to proxy, by hiding your second pylon. That's what PAPI is doing this time. In game 1, it was ShaDoWn. So a bit of a role reversal between our 2 players. ShaDoWn has his second pylon in his main. And yeah, even his third. So we do have a standard open out of ShaDoWn. PAPI hoping to, again, get into the head of ShaDoWn and force even some extra lost mining time, just some extra scouting. Doesn't look like ShaDoWn is going to be falling for it. As we're just trying to get a read on what first 2 units come out. It's going to be double Stalker out of ShaDoWn, likewise double Stalker out of PAPI as well. ShaDoWn is looking for that pylon. Doesn't come across it. Does hide his own probe on his opponent's side of the map. Behind this, PAPI going into double sentry. So we saw the power of the sentry earlier, how you can just get so much scouting information really early on. The downside here is that PAPI's main army is going to suffer as a result. If ShaDoWn were to be more assertive and more aggressive, then he would have a Stalker lead, and it could try to overwhelm the defenses of PAPI. As the Stalkers, they are moving out. Meanwhile, PAPI, he will at least have a force field back at home. Should be going for hallucination momentarily as well. But he has to take a more defensive position here. He has to be very careful not to be caught out. ShaDoWn pushes on forward. It's only going to be 4 Stalkers. There's a hallucination. The dance has begun, but the pylon is under threat. There's no shield battery on the high ground. And we're now just waiting for another warping of units. Sentry will fall. He wants the other up! And he will get it. A good pick off from ShaDoWn, getting both sentries. And he will back off. Gets 2 sentries in the end. We'll lose a Stalker. Up, he may lose another, actually. ShaDoWn taking his own losses here. But back at home, we do have, of course, the defender's advantage, and PAPI will retreat. He will back off. He himself was able to get a full scout. He confirms the Twilight Council, confirms Blink on the way, and he knows. PAPI, he knows what won in the last game. We're going for a Dark Shrine once again. This time, a much earlier Dark Shrine. A bit of a risky maneuver, but it can win him the game. Adepts are going to be shading in. Adepts shade is denied. Good reaction so far out of PAPI. He himself is moving out with his own Adepts to harass. So ShaDoWn, he's just focusing on a Blink Stalker-based composition. We do have a Robo, thankfully, on the way. We're not going to be delaying it. This will grant access to Observers. We do have access to Detection. Now, PAPI does have a Proxy Pylon, so he's going to be warping in the Adepts across the map. Sorry, the Dark Templar across the map. When it comes to this first Observer, it should be rallied towards the bases of PAPI. So hopefully it doesn't go too far. Hopefully we can pull it back or even recall it back home. Otherwise, these Dark Templar could do a lot of damage. Hallucination comes in, confirms the main base. Doesn't see the tech. Uh-oh. Tech has not been spotted. Has Adepts just being caught all over the place. ShaDoWn throwing down his third base. There's the Observer on the way. And it is going to come out in time for these DTs. We will have Detection. Dark Templar, they split up between the main and the natural. They go straight for the mineral lines. Probes are going to be falling. But that first Observer has popped. Again, only 3 workers go down. This could have been so much worse. 4 workers in total. We deal with one of the Dark Templar, and the other will waddle away. Now, PAPI, he is going to enjoy himself an economic lead because of this, because of the DT harass. Behind this, because he invested into these Dark Templar, he's going to be a little bit behind in other aspects. His Robo's delayed, his Forge is delayed as well. So there was some pressure on these Dark Templar to get damage done. And one of them is still alive. It's still here at the third. There's potential. Is on hold position. As PAPI's working towards his own third base. ShaDoWn looking to catch up. Working on +1. Going for his own Dark Shrine even. Let's go. DT's eventually on the way for ShaDoWn as well. See PAPI trying to apply some pressure to the third, but ShaDoWn's in position. Gonna force it back. Dark Templar also threatening a run by towards that natural, but we have an Observer in position. ShaDoWn, he sees, he knows, he's ready for it. And the game will settle. The game will settle from here. We had a tense moment. We had a very tense moment with the first wave of DTs, but since then, you know, we can just settle into our 3 bases. We're working towards our upgrades, charge, immortal production. Once again, PAPI's going for a more tech-heavy composition with immortals and I imagine eventually Archons, but for now, just immortals. ShaDoWn going for a much faster 4th base. Is scouted. And will stand strong. Now, of course, we can gain access to Archons early on here with these DTs. Can be morphed into those Archons. I'm just waiting to see what we can accomplish with ShaDoWn's own Dark Templar, as they are moving out. Now, PAPI has a Robo, so he should have Detection. He doesn't. But, okay, there we go. We have an Observer on the way. Thankfully, it's on the way. 3 Immortals. There are those Archons that we were talking about. Again, once again, this army here is going to have a lot of potential as the game goes on, as we reach a higher army supply. Instead, ShaDoWn looking to pull apart his opponent, even investing into DT Blink, into Shadow Stride. Not something you see too often, so we appreciate it whenever we do see it. As ShaDoWn moves out, he gets eyes on the 4th base, and PAPI is out of position. The DT does drag him over towards the right-hand side, and the 4th base is exposed, and it will go down. Do you need another volley? Up! Oh, we barely do get it. The base falls, ShaDoWn retreats, and PAPI, he's stuck on 3 bases. He's trying to harass himself, but now we have cannons in position. The DTs, they don't do anything. They only get 2 workers. Now ShaDoWn, he is pretty well set up at this point. He's up in bases. Shut down the Dark Templar. But PAPI, he's working on his own push. So just like the previous game, he's going to have +2 a lot faster. He will have it much faster. He's even chronoing it out as we speak. +2 is on the way. He still only has that 1 Archon. I mean, he's going up against a mainly Stalker-based composition, so the Immortals are going to be more impactful. Now, ShaDoWn obviously has a more maneuverable army. As we've seen, he can dip in, snipe a base, and dip out. Head-to-head, I want to give the edge to PAPI. If both armies were to clash, I want to give the edge to these 3 Immortals. But that's a big if, because I'm sure ShaDoWn is also aware of that. He's just constantly sending out run-bys. Speaking of, that's 5 DTs. A 5 DT hit squad. Oh my god. There is a cannon, but with Blink, we can just dive on top of the cannon and focus it down. I think that's exactly what we're going for. Oh no. Okay, we do have Zealots in position. Yeah, ShaDoWn, PAPI, he will not allow the surround to happen. At the same time, ShaDoWn pushing in on the right-hand side. He is being zoned away. PAPI, he's able to keep up. He pushes back ShaDoWn's main army. The DTs do not get in. Zealot's getting a lot done, and PAPI, he's committing to the attack. ShaDoWn coming in for a surround. Or just... I assume potentially a surround, but a lot of Stalkers do fall. PAPI's going to keep on pushing the War Prism. It survives. Meanwhile, the DTs, they get into the natural base, but there are plenty of Zealots to deal with them. ShaDoWn's DTs, they do nothing. They get cleaned up. And now PAPI, he can focus on his main push, on his main assault. All 3 Immortals are still alive, the Archons as well. And he's pushing into pure Blink Stalkers. And ShaDoWn doesn't see. Uh-oh. He does see the Zealots. Oh, and we do have to commit with those charge lots. Meanwhile, PAPI comes in from the right-hand side. He gets on top of the side defense. Cannons and shield batteries are going down, but that was a little bit wasteful with those Zealots. A lot of them did fall. Here come the reinforcements. No more shield battery, no more overcharge. Yeah, these Immortals, they're just going ham. And ShaDoWn, he's losing ground. He has to back off. Likewise, though, PAPI is also running out of Stalkers. We had a weapon of DTs, but no, they will not make it through. 1, 2 Immortals go down. ShaDoWn, he does it on the Prism. The War Prism will fall. So will the Immortal. And ShaDoWn, he's barely holding. He's barely holding on. PAPI can no longer reinforce, but he gets into the mineral line. And he gets 11 probes. ShaDoWn will survive. And he survives on a higher worker count. He survives on a higher base count as he has a 5th base. He can afford to lose workers. The pure Blink Stalker army did barely work. I do think that PAPI, his first wave of Zealots being caught was a pretty big moment. A pretty crucial moment, actually. Where so much supply was just thrown away. And now PAPI is in a lot of trouble. He lost all of his high-tech units. His Immortal count was reset. His Archon count was reset. That was what he was banking on. That's what he was hoping would carry him through that fight. And now it's just a gateway army versus a gateway army. Against someone with a better economy is the reality. ShaDoWn, he's on 5 bases. He's up almost 10 workers. The pressure is on our blue Protoss player. Can we bring it back? Here we go, ShaDoWn. He just rotates around the right-hand side. Catches a couple of Zealots. I still kind of want to favor the composition here of PAPI. Like, I like that we have, like, I feel like if we can bring it all together here, we can take a good fight, but it does come down to the engagement. ShaDoWn is able to pick up a couple more of these Zealots. They do race on forward. Yeah, 3, 4 of them go down. PAPI instead going to rotate around towards that natural. And we're just diving in. Oh my god. We don't even care. We are committing to a fight. This time, we do have an overcharge once again. Behind that mineral line. And PAPI, he has to dive forward. Focuses down the shield battery. The Immortals and Archons pushing in. And can PAPI overwhelm? We have reinforcements coming in from behind. The Prism once again goes down. This is all that PAPI has left. And he is pushing through. But at the same time, he lost the base. He lost the Nexus. At this point, he is all in. It's all or nothing for PAPI. As the DTs are going ham across the map. The Immortals looking exposed. There is no Warp Prism. Did you protect it? But time is working on the side of ShaDoWn. As he gets more Warpins, he forces a recall and PAPI turns back home. But what are we coming back to? He did kill a mineral line. That is true. He didn't get the base. PAPI, he's still behind in the economy here. And over time, ShaDoWn, he can afford to replace his army. He can just send in more and more warp-ins. He's going for his own counterattack, pushing towards this third. PAPI, he just recalled. He cannot recall again. Yeah, we're going for a base trade. We are going for the base trade instead. This is maybe the best chance that PAPI has. His only shot, his only opportunity. He does have observers. Dark Templar will not be enough. As he does catch a couple of free units, Immortal is going to go down. Good pickoffs here from PAPI. Very good pickoffs. At the same time, ShaDoWn pushing into the natural. Breaking through, heading towards the main base. Do we not have detection? ShaDoWn does not have an observer. Okay, but now he does. He does chrono out an observer, thankfully. That one DT defends. We recall back home. Do end up recalling back home. Okay, even if we snipe an observer, we can rebuild. And ShaDoWn, he comes in from behind. He gets a full surround, takes down the Archons and the Immortals. GG gets called. Well played. And ShaDoWn will take the series 2-1. Advancing on. GG.